This is our first
podcast.
First
baby.
podcast. Let's
First
go.
podcast. Let's go.
First podcast. All right. So what are we gonna be doing today?
We're gonna be going over teams and divisions on how we think they will shape out. Obviously, you can see on this tier list here, we have first seed, division winners, wild card, and the hunt maybe next year, better than the Saints, and then we have the Saints. I wonder where we're gonna pit the Saints. I don't know yet, but we'll see.
We'll find out. Stay tuned for a surprise.
Yeah, something like that, right?
All right, we're gonna be going division by division, starting in the. We're gonna be doing AFC, then NFC, North, East, South, West.
Compass, baby.
Compass. Let's go. Cardinal directions. Cardinals are in the West.
Something like that.
I think.
Yeah, something
that sounds
like that.
right. All right. Well, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
First team on the agenda, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. So the Cincinnati Bengals, they are a team that a lot of people say should have made the playoffs last season, especially because they did beat the 7 seed only 2 weeks before the playoffs started. That is my team, the Denver Broncos, I'm referring to there. And it's because their defense just let them down so much throughout the middle portion of the season. And I just don't think that happens again. I don't think there's any way that this team finishes with less than 10 wins. I think this is easily a double-digit team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely with Joe Burrow. I mean, in the AFC, like AFC obviously isn't as stacked as the NFC this year coming up, but I mean, in their division, they go against the Browns and Steelers, right? Who knows how their quarterback issues are going to pan out? We'll get to that later. And then they play the Ravens twice, obviously. I think they could take one off of them. But the Bengals are always like a wild card team throughout the season because they can be either super good or they can lose against the Patriots. So yeah, I definitely know kind of where I want to put them. But yeah, never count Joe Burrow out, man.
Oh, yeah.
Especially best wide receiver duo in the league, maybe.
Oh, easily, for sure.
So,
Jamar and T. Higgins, crazy offense. They have like pieces all around on offense too, just to keep it afloat. They try to put some work in on the defense. Let's see if it pans out or not.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just by the law of averages, I think their defenses will be better than they were last year. But it's still really tough when they are in the division with the Ravens. Personally, I put them in wild card just because of who's in the division with them.
Yeah, I 100% degree. Wow. I agree with wild card because obviously I can't put them in division winners just because we don't really know exactly where they're going to be at this year. But, I mean, they're always a wild card team. I don't think they would be in the hunt necessarily unless, obviously, they lose it really bad during the season.
Yeah, if they take some Patriots losses like they did last season, then obviously they could, And everyone remembers that wild Chargers game where it's like they were down like 20-something points, pulled all the way back into it, but then still ended up losing it, which that game was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely every team has their loss of the season that they want back, but yeah, for sure. And then we'll go off to the Browns, and the Browns. Wow, that's crazy. The Browns, I mean, their quarterback issues are definitely, they're in a good spot, if you would want to say. I mean, they drafted Dylan Gabriel before Shedeur, which is kind of hilarious.
Very.
But I think ultimately Shedeur wins that battle in camp. And then they have Joe Flacco to learn from. They have Kenny Pickett to just, like, get that experience of being a backup as well.
I just think it's wild that this quarterback room, technically speaking, has 5 QBs there right now. I know Deshaun Watson's being pushed out, but still, like, as far as the roster is concerned, as of, like, who the Cleveland Browns are employing, they have 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
No team has 5 quarterbacks, and they need to cut it down to at least 3, which obviously Deshaun's the first to go. But even then, I think he might still have to be rostered or just like considered a healthy scratch throughout the season just because of the cap implications that they had to deal with him. So really, I could see them cutting down to 2 quarterbacks. So I think one of the rookies goes, and I think one of the vets goes. I think one of those 2 guys can be traded to a team that either needs a backup or break glass in case of emergency type starter. I could see someone maybe floating a 6th or even just like a 6 for 7 pick swap. Other than that, the QB situation, like I like the rest of their offense. Like they have a bunch of like kind of tier 2 guys everywhere. I think it's kind of they just really need to hit the reset. They have guys for the future potentially that could be assets to this team offensively, but defensively, I think this team is going to shine. Yeah. I think they're going to be just as good, but they just don't have an offense to keep up. I see them losing games like 7-13 a lot this year just because of how good this defense is and will be. That being said, I don't even think they kind of fit into the maybe next year category. I really think that this is just a true bottom feeder in this league, so I just put them better than the Saints.
Yeah, I agree with better than the Saints. So I'll go ahead and put them here, but I wouldn't be shocked if they are here, though. I just have, obviously, wide receiver questions. Jerry Jeudy's there, but who's behind him, right?
Cedric Tillman, but who else besides that?
Mean, Cedric Tillman,
they still have
no
David
disrespect,
Njoku.
But come on, they have David Njoku, yeah.
Drafted Harold Fannin.
True.
Potentially be the long-term Njoku replacement. Maybe that's the type of guy that they feel they can move on from this season if a contender offers like a second or third round pick for him.
Yeah, and then they have the Ohio State running back now, Quinshon Judkins. So, they're in a good spot to obviously grow and learn this year. And then maybe next year, they'll be in maybe next year. So, we'll definitely see how that goes. And I'm definitely want to keep an eye on the Browns. I think they could be a fun team to watch for sure.
The reason I don't think they fit into maybe next year is just because of Deshaun Watson money. That's the only reason.
Yeah, you could have that big slap of money to block you from here, but if your talent shows maybe next year, then you can still be maybe next year.
That's true.
But I think the quarterback battle between Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel will decide how this team will do this year.
Absolutely.
Both are great young quarterbacks, so I'm definitely interested to see who will win that battle over in OTAs. But off to the Steelers, man. Yeah. Are they going to sign Aaron Rodgers or not? What's going on here?
Just sign him already. Just sign him. OTAs are getting over with. Just bring him in the building. These are voluntary OTAs. Just sign him already. Does he want to skip training camp? Is that all it is? He needs to come in, learn the playbook, get used to the guys, start throwing to DK, start working with the running backs. Just get him in the building. Get him used to the O-line, how they fit around him. Just sign the man already. Quit lingering this on. But once they sign him, I think they're clearly in the hunt. But if not, I see them dropping down to maybe next year. I think for this, we should just assume they're going to sign him because everyone knows they're going to sign him. He knows he's going to sign there. They know he's going to come. So for that purpose, I think we should just assume he is going to be in the building. So I do believe that we should just go ahead and put the Steelers in the hunt. They have Mike Tomlin. They're going to finish with at least 9 wins. Everyone knows that. But whether they actually get that wild card spot, I don't think so.
So if they sign Rodgers in the hunt, if they go with Will Howard, better than the Saints, in my opinion. And that's no diss to Will Howard. Obviously, he carried the Ohio State team to a championship. Obviously, he had a crap ton of talent there, but still, he looked really good in Ohio State. So, maybe next year in the hunt, better than Saints. Who knows? We're just depending on the quarterback.
Yeah.
But currently, how the roster stands, I'll just keep them in maybe next year.
Okay.
So, if they sign Rodgers, we'll bump it up. But until now, or until then, I'll just keep them in maybe next year. They have the talent, obviously, to be better than the Browns. But, if you're just relying on Will Howard, what happens if he gets injured, right?
That's true.
So
I will say, though, just because of Mike Tomlin, I don't think they'll ever be a true bottom feeder team. That's why I have them clearly over the Browns in that tier.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I even do have them in the hunt category, just because Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. People have been predicting this man to have a losing season every year since 2020. Heck, I even think, no, not 2019 because they still had Antonio Brown. That was their first year without him. But literally every year since 2020, they've been expecting him to have a lackluster season, but every year he's put up at least 9 wins. So I think people need to keep respecting Tomlin until he doesn't. But I understand that maybe next year, and I won't disagree with it.
Yeah, my whole thing is, they had the quarterbacks. They had Justin Fields and Russell to help boost them up. They had honestly, I don't look at the Steelers so often. I don't know who's before them.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. All right, moving
Ravens.
on. Relevant team now. Ravens. What are we gonna do with them? Honestly, Lamar is an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
He's one of the big four. I know we put a little bit of disrespect on, not necessarily disrespect on Burrow, but disrespect on the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I know he is one of the big four of these AFC quarterbacks, but I just don't think the team around him is as good.
Yeah.
Like, you look at the O-line. I think his receivers are better, but I think that's really it. The Ravens have the better O-line, way better defense, playmakers all over the defense, and plus they still have Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
It's not like they have no one. And Mark Andrews, even though he had that drop on the goal line that ultimately ended up costing them the Bills game, which, you know, Lamar versus Josh still had like 2 minutes to score, but that's neither here nor there. That being said, like, the Ravens, they are the best roster in the NFL, easily, because they have the quarterback, they have the O-line, they have enough playmakers on offense. You know, if you think about it, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, like, that's enough to work with. And the defense is just insane. And, you know, obviously a John Harbaugh-led team is never bad. Especially, like, look at their special teams. They're always one of the better special teams in the league. And people will say, oh, it's just special teams. That doesn't matter. That's a third of the game. People don't realize that. And I just really think that the Ravens are in position to challenge for the number 1 seed, and I think they get it.
Yeah, I agree with the number 1 seed, but I think the best overall team goes to a different team other than the Ravens, but we'll get to that later, to who I think has the best team.
Okay.
And I'm not going to obviously say that now, but throw them up in the 1 seed. Lamar, obviously, if they're not 1 seed, they'll be in division winners if they win their division. But,
easily.
So I just think, obviously, Henry's just going to keep going. Everyone thought he was going to have a down year when he went to the Ravens because he's getting old, but
he scored every week through, like, week 12, right?
Yeah.
I think week 13 was the first week he didn't score.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but for sure, like, he's insane. I think Zay Flowers is insane. I still think Mark Andrews is a top 5 tight end. Agreed. For sure. And I mean, yeah, you can't count this team out unless it comes to the playoffs. But I definitely think he's going to take MVP. I think the 1 seed, the only other 1 seed team that I think would be in the run here would be the Chiefs, but I think they're also going to. I'll get to that later, actually.
We'll get to the Chiefs.
We'll get to them. But
I could also see the Bills, or if the Texans hit their upside, they could challenge for the 1 seed in a very, and I do mean very, crazy world. I could see a team like either the Broncos or Chargers also pushing for that 1 seed if the Chiefs do have a down year, but I'm not going to predict the Chiefs to have a down year. You see the jersey. As much as I want to, I'm not going to. So let's just keep it going.
So Lions, I think they're definitely the most fun team to watch. They have the Sonic and Knuckles combination with the running backs.
Yup.
They have Amon-Ra, the most fun wide receiver to watch in my opinion.
J-Mo too, a threat both through the air and on the ground.
Yeah, I mean this team has so much potential, and I think obviously, if it wasn't for the Eagles, I would have them in the number 1 seed. And if it wasn't for the Eagles, I'd have them going to the Super Bowl. But obviously, the Eagles team is just, yeah. Anyways.
Crazy. We'll get to them in a minute.
So, I'm going to go ahead and throw them in division winners. What do you think?
I think they fit there easily. Yeah. Because when you look at the rest of the division, you could see the Packers, Bears, or Vikings pushing them. But at the same time, it's just like none of those teams feel as complete. You could say that the quarterback is better elsewhere, but I would like them to prove that they're better, as in just like, not just saying they're better because they have stronger arms like Caleb and Jordan Love both do. And you could even argue J.J. McCarthy has a stronger arm than, I was about to call him Dak, than Jared Goff does. But it's just overall, I think this team, the only thing they have to worry about is can the coordinators step up? Because, you know, they did both lose Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, and their defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, to the Jets and Bears respectively. But I still think that this is a Dan Campbell-led team. They're going to punch teams in the mouth. Was Ben Johnson the best offensive coordinator in the NFL last year? Even the last 2 to maybe even 3 years? I'd say at least last 2. Yes, by far. But I think that this team is ready to just keep going. They're ready to keep rolling. This team's gonna be aggressive. They have that kneecap biting mentality. I don't think any team can really put down the Lions. Like, obviously, they're gonna have their losses, and especially if they come out with so many turnovers like they did against the Commanders in the playoffs, you could easily see them just losing a game here or there. But keep in mind, this is also a team that had 5 turnovers in a game last year and won. That's the first time that's happened, and I don't even know how long. Sorry, buddy, I had to bring it up.
Yeah.
But, like, this team is so resilient. This team has been through it all. This team is ready to fight with anybody, and I think that especially includes their division rivals. So I think they're easy division winners.
Yeah, I agree. And then now the rest of this division with the Packers, Bears, and Vikings. Man, this is going to be such a fun division to rank.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Packers, definitely taking Golden, the first wide receiver they've taken in the first round in I don't know how long.
2002, I think. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'm gonna put them in the hunt just because I feel like their team, with bringing in another wide receiver, it just like it gives me questions about the rest of their wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where's Christian Watson gonna be? Where is
he's not gonna be playing this year.
Really? What happened to him?
His knee.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Romeo Dobbs. There we go. Where's he gonna be? Right.
Stone hands.
And then obviously the running back's fine. Josh Jacobs is definitely top running back in the league.
Yeah, top 5 running back.
Yeah, and then their tight end duo is just pretty good as well. I'm gonna have them in the hunt, or sorry, no, not in the hunt. Wild card.
Wild card.
I'm gonna keep them in wild card until they miss out on the wild card. They've been a wild card team for what is it, 3 seasons in a row now? I think.
I want to say ever since Jordan Love took over.
Yeah.
They've been a wild card team every year.
Yeah, and I mean they also like their defense is super good. I mean they had the Texans like just completely lost last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we missed that field goal, and they decided to just take over and win the game, so that sucked. But yeah, what's your take on the Packers?
I'm really tough on the Packers just because of how wide the middle is here in the NFC. Because I could see them being a 12-5 wild card team or a. I know it's only really a 3-game span, but I could also see them being 9-8 and missing the playoffs. Just because of how wide the middle is here in the NFC, I could see so many teams finishing in this 9-8, 10-7, even 11-6. I could see it 11-6. That adds up. Yes, it does. I could see a team going 11-6 and missing the playoffs in the NFC this year, just because of how wide it is, how open it is. Any team in the NFC not in these bottom 2 tiers, I could realistically see making it into the playoffs as that number 7 wild card.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with you. I think that the Packers will be a wild card team this year just because they've been a wild card team every year since Jordan Love has taken over. Like, even whenever he missed a couple games last year at the beginning of the year, they put in Malik Willis, and it seemed like the offense maybe even upticked a little bit, although it was gimmicky. That's why it only lasted a couple weeks. But even then, like you said, like they have playmakers all over. They have 2 tight ends on offense. I could see Musgrave being a trade candidate, like a sneaky trade candidate, if they really do give Tucker Kraft this true starting job. But other than that, it's like their defense is just so up and down.
Yeah.
Like, they have great elite performances, and then they have other games where it's like you don't even know what they're doing. So for that reason alone, it's really just consistency for me that scares me with this team. But I think ultimately they are just consistent enough to make the wild card.
Yeah, 100%. And then for the Bears.
The Bears.
Shout out Justin. Yeah, this team is. They can either be wild card or they can be maybe next year or in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just in that 3 span. Obviously, they're better than the Saints. I think Caleb Williams will take a step up. I think. I mean, the running backs are fine. The defense is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So I think they're a super complete team, but will they take that next step from last year? Who knows?
And they have so many pass catchers.
Yeah.
So many.
I think their 3 wide receivers are definitely like one of the best trios of wide receivers in the league. I think, but I mean, who knows?
DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, and then they got the 2 tight ends, Colson Loveland and Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I mean
that's crazy.
Luther Burden, I want to see where he's gonna fit in on this team. Honestly, I think they'll have some things playing out for them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put them in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a stretch. It might not be a stretch, but I think obviously they'll be better than the Browns and Steelers if with their quarterback situations if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign here again.
Yeah.
But I definitely see them in the hunt. What do you think?
I completely agree with that. It's just like in the hunt feels like the perfect spot for the Bears because I could see them pushing into that wild card spot, but I could also see them just like not quite adjusting to the Ben Johnson scheme as quick as everyone expects them to, because people got to realize that Ben Johnson's been this super hyped up offensive coordinator, been like the top head coach recruit for the past 3 years now. The same was said about Brian Daboll the year he came out from Buffalo to the Giants. And maybe it takes a year. Maybe he hits the ground running. We just don't know. I don't feel comfortable putting them in the wild card already, considering, I'm sorry to say this, Justin, but it is the Bears. You've been watching the Bears since you were a kid. You know what this team does to you. They always disappoint you. That's what they do.
Sounds like you're talking about the Browns.
No, but for real, though, with the Bears, it's just like, I don't want to put them too high up a tier until they show me they're in that tier. But at the same time, I don't think they're bad enough to even be maybe next year. I think this is a team that's going to be in the hunt. This is going to be a team that's fighting for that 7th wildcard spot all the way through Week 18 even. Like, I could see them being either in like a win-and-in scenario or like they just need a few things to go their way to get in. I don't think they ultimately do, but I think they're going to be fighting for that spot until Week 18.
Yeah, 100%. And then with the Vikings, this is definitely another interesting team I want to watch. They have Jay Jettas, obviously, and then Jordan Addison as well. I think they're a really good duo. I like their running game with Aaron Jones. I like their defense a lot. Their defense is stupid. I mean, they had the Texans.
Brian Flores.
Every team had the freaking Texans offensive line looking horrible. But anyways,
That's true.
The Vikings, if he can play like kind of around where Sam Darnold did and stay healthy, I think they can definitely be in the hunt as well. But the question with J.J. McCarthy, I want to put them in maybe next year. Let him develop, let him learn, and then just see where they go from there. But I kind of have these two teams. They're super similar in my opinion, super similar. So, yeah, I definitely think it's good there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that they could push in the hunt or even wild card if J.J. McCarthy hits the ground running, if he is that guy, if he shows that he can be a good to great QB in this league. Because let's just say if he does have the same type of performance that either a Bo Nix or even as high as Jaden Daniels was last year, or even if he's Drake May from last year, I could see this team starting to push into the wild card discussions. But I think their true ceiling for this season would be that in the hunt, pushing for the 7 seed. But I don't think that they hit this year. I think that teams are starting to get used to the Brian Flores, just send the house or drop everybody. I think they're starting to figure it out. I could be wrong because like he changed it a lot over these past 2 seasons. Because I want to say 2 years ago, all of it was fire zones with a 3-3 zone. And then last year, it was all 2-4 zones. And just no one could quite capitalize on where the weaknesses were because they didn't know where they were. But I think now they're starting to know where the holes are in this defense. And I think teams are going to start exploiting them.
Yeah, 100%. And then with the Bills, man, this team definitely... I have them in division winners just because, obviously, I don't think the Dolphins are going to take that next step. I think the Patriots will be pretty good. But anyways, I think Josh Allen definitely MVP candidate as well.
Oh, yeah.
Their running game with James Cook is super good. Their wide receivers are super good. I think Keon Coleman will take a step up. Their defense is still pretty good. I think that wild card game, it was a wild card, right, when they played y'all in the playoffs?
The Broncos, yes.
So that wild card game, like obviously the Broncos, touchdown right out the gate, right, and then the Bills were like, all right, let's focus. But if they took that pause and like focused in their next game, I think obviously they can just keep taking that step, just focus in on what they need to do and what they know they can do. I think they can definitely be a Super Bowl favorite team this year as well. But I think with the Bills, I'm definitely going to put them in division winners. I think that's where they deserve to be unless they prove otherwise.
Agreed.
So, yeah, what's your take with them?
I just don't know if they have quite enough to push for that number 1 seed. Obviously, Josh Allen, when he gets hot, he is the best quarterback in the league. I will say the caveat, when he's hot, because, there is the whole good Josh, bad Josh stuff that happens with him. Sometimes he just decides to throw it to the defense. Sometimes he decides to just, let me just ram into the nearest guy in front of me. And that doesn't always work out the best for the team. But, more often than not, it does. Whenever Josh starts playing hero ball, that's what he's there for. That's why he is, the alien. That's why people talk about him as the best physical player to ever play the position of quarterback. Because not only is he one of the most physically dominant quarterbacks, but he gets the position. It took him a few years to start. Everyone saw him in, 2018, 2019. But then 2020, it just clicked for him. And ever since then, he's been one of these top 3 quarterbacks. I wouldn't even say top 4 with the big 4. No, he's a top 3 quarterback. And I don't ever see a world where Josh Allen isn't pushing for the number 1 seed, but I don't think he quite gets it just because the team around him just isn't as good as Baltimore. I don't even think the team around him is really even as good as Kansas City or Detroit or these other teams that are these bona fide division winners. I just don't think he has that, but I think he is the highest elevator that there is on the football field. That's why I think they win the division, but they still lose to the freaking Chiefs in the playoffs. So let's just talk about someone else now.
Yeah. One thing that I didn't mention with the Bills is whenever Stephon Diggs left, everyone was like, okay, they're gonna take a step back.
Yep.
We're gonna see what Josh Allen's really made of, and then he made that team just look insane.
Oh yeah.
And that was without Amari Cooper to start the season. They still looked really good. And when they got Amari Cooper, it didn't really take too big of a step up, but it took a step. So definitely interested in them. With the Dolphins, I just don't enjoy watching this team. Besides Devon Achane,
it's
but it's just with Tua, consistency and being healthy is where it matters.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, are we going to get that leadership out of him, or is he just going to go out there and have fun, be there for the money?
Hey, he's a man of God now.
Is
he? Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Allegedly.
Okay. But their defense will obviously be good. I know there's been trade rumors for Jalen Ramsey. We'll see what goes down there. But I think this team, if they don't make the playoffs this year, they need to start selling before it's too late.
Yeah.
So with the Dolphins, I'm going to put them in the hunt. I don't think they're going to reach the wild card. I know that might be somewhat of a letdown for their fans, but honestly, the competition just seems like they're just slowing down every year. So
yeah. And I will say, I feel like not Josh McDaniel. No, I'm sorry, guys. That's the old fucking. No, why? I'm being so bad right now.
Mike McDaniel.
We're just gonna cut this part out. Okay, this didn't happen. And cut back in.
And we're keeping it.
No.
Mike McDaniel, their coach.
Okay.
Hot seat guy.
Okay. All right. Mike McDaniel. Sorry about that, guys. Mike McDaniel is gonna be on the hot seat this year because he hit the ground running. As again, I've been using that analogy a lot, which I should probably stop. But whenever he came into Miami, he was great. He was designing plays. Everyone was like, we should steal that. We should steal a cheat motion this, swing motion that, orbit motion this way. And there were just so many moving parts. Defenses literally could not keep up with them. Except for the Bills, that is. They actually somehow figured them out. But still, this Dolphins team, it's just they tried to just keep doing the same thing, but they weren't innovating. It's Mike McDaniel was all right, this is what I've been saving up. He dropped 70 on us, and then it's just been kind of steadily down since. Everyone saw that playoff game in the snow against Kansas City when they couldn't get anything going on offense. This is a team that if Mike McDaniel can't turn them around, I think he's gone after this season. I think he's one of this sneaky, maybe not even sneaky, but most likely to be fired coaches at the end of the season. Because even an 8-win season, I don't think is good enough for this team. And then he's going to go be an offensive coordinator somewhere. Maybe he gets another chance at a head coach in the future, but I'm just worried for him and this team that he won't be able to get them back over the hump that where he was when he first started. And I think the team could move on from him. Defensively, I feel like they're in a spot where they do enough for the offense, but not enough to do it for the offense. This offense needs to step up. Tua needs to be healthy, and he needs to perform. These receivers, they're the fastest duo of receivers in the league. But what have they done? Did either of them even hit 1,000 last year? I don't think Waddle did. I might be mistaken. But I want to say Jonnu Smith was their leading. I know he was their leading scorer last year of receivers, and Devon Achane was like seemingly the only thing that could get going on offense. But either way, this team is just so up and down. They need to be consistent until they can show me. I have them in the hunt.
Yeah, I agree. And then the Patriots. I think this team, this team is going to be special. They got my favorite running back from the draft, which was Trey Henderson. I think he's going to be super good for this team. Drake May, I think he's going to make a super huge jump this year.
Oh, yeah.
I really do.
He was great last year.
Yeah, and I think he's going to do even better than that. So I think their defense can hang in games as well. I think their offense can hang in games. However, I will have them in maybe next year. I want to put them in the hunt. I really do, just because their team is going to look so fun. But I'm going to have them in maybe next year. I think they're going to take another development year. I think they're going to learn from their losses this year. I think they're going to be a 5 to 7 win team, or I guess 4 to 6 to keep them out of that hunt range. But yeah, I think their division's actually going to be pretty easy with the Dolphins and Jets this year. Obviously, the Bills, I think they're going to lose both games to the Bills. But ultimately, yeah, I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. What do you think?
I think, honestly, I would put them in the hunt just because of Drake May taking that, maybe not even taking the next step, but just continuing his development. And then Mike Vrabel is this team's head coach now.
Yeah.
People forget about how good the defenses were when he was in Tennessee. But who did he have to work with? He had Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, and who? Nobody.
Yeah.
Like, he had 2 B-plus tier guys on his defense. Maybe you could consider Kevin Byard and Jeffrey Simmons A. But I say that they're just kind of B-plus type of guys. And year after year, they were like a top 10 defense. He got this team to a number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. He beat the Ravens in the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. He almost went to the Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. And I know people will say, oh, he had Derrick Henry. Yes, he had Derrick Henry. But Ryan Tannehill was his quarterback. Like, people, you can't just gloss over that. He is a true leader. He's a guy that gets his defenses right every year. I could honestly see this defense being the most talented he's ever had to work with. And for that reason alone, I could see them being an 8-9 win team, being in the hunt, pushing for that last wild card spot. I don't think that they're going to be eliminated by Christmas. I think that this is going to be a team that's in the hunt through the entire season, but I think that they just end up short. So I have them in the hunt.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. The only reason I have them in maybe next year is just because with the Jets, I have them, if Justin Fields plays to the level I think he can play at, I think the Jets could be in the hunt. I think Garrett Wilson's obviously there. Their defense is going to be obviously as good as they always are. Breece Hall, top 3 running back in the league.
That's rich.
It's rich, but I can definitely, I don't know. That's where I have him, honestly. Like
Saquon Henry Jacobs.
I have him better than Jacobs, honestly. And then I have him better than Chinty as well. Yeah, I think Breece Hall, like, he can catch the ball. He can run through people. He's a tank. He's probably going to get even stronger this offseason. And, yeah, I just think the Jets, they're just overall a great team. So, I can see them in maybe next year or, I don't know. I can go either way with the Jets, honestly. It really just depends how Justin Fields plays. But I think the play action with him and Breece Hall will work out just fine.
I see it. Personally, I might even just want to just completely flip the Patriots and Jets. That's just from a personal standpoint. But I could also see the Jets up here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you said, Justin Fields, he is like I don't even say top 3. I would say he's like the number 3 running quarterback threat in the league behind Lamar and Jaden Daniels. We'll talk about him shortly. But Justin Fields, like, he is a special runner. The only problem is, I mean, at least he has Garrett Wilson, a guy who is like a true alpha number 1 wide receiver. But it's like he doesn't read the field well as a passer. He can hit the first read well. I wouldn't even say amazingly, just well. And it's just there's limitations to his game. There are. You can't deny that. And it's just like the rest of the team, they need to get the culture right here. Because it's been a team that they let Aaron Rodgers come in the building, let him basically control everything. You know, like, they brought in his guys. Like, they did whatever he wanted him. Like, everyone knows Nathaniel Hackett, what he did to my team. Which, you know, I guess it led to us getting Sean Payton and Bo. So I guess I'm fine with it in the long term. But that man is a football terrorist.
Crazy.
Sorry. I had my explosion. Either way, it's just Aaron Rodgers is gone, and they need to start cleaning up the ripple effects that he left on this team. Like, there are, like, questionable, like, locker room concerns that this team has. But talent-wise, I think they are good. They have, like, a solid O-line from left tackle to right tackle and everything in between. They have a good D-line. They have I didn't say a great second level. You know, Sauce Gardner, he is one of the top 3 corners in this league. He had a down year last year, but I still think it's him, Surtain, and Stingley. Like, those are the 3 guys that are at the top of this, like, every cornerback tier list, and it's for a reason. I really do think that this Jets team is either bottom of in the hunt or top of maybe next year. Mm-hmm. I kind of lean towards maybe next year just because of the culture reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with you leaving them in the hunt.
Honestly, like, the more you speak about it, I'm definitely down to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and I switched to Patriots and Jets.
Yes.
Just because I think, obviously, Drake May making a Pro Bowl in his first year was kind of crazy. Obviously, CJ declined. I'm not going to say he made it because CJ declined, but, like, there were people in front of him, but due to them not being able to make it, him still even being in that conversation to make the Pro Bowl is what's crazy.
That's still top 6 quarterback in the AFC, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely down to switch them. I definitely trust Drake May more than Justin Fields, but I trust Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson more than, obviously, Trey Henderson and who's there?
I was about to say Kyle Duggar. That's not right. Kyle Williams. Kyle Duggar is the safety on their defense.
Yeah. And, I mean, obviously they have a super young wide receiver room, so I think they'll improve there as well. So, I think making that switch is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this one is where the controversy comes in.
Saints. I'm kidding. I'm
kidding. I love it. No, I'd put him better than the Saints. Let's just move him up there.
Nah.
Get that star. You know, that's a rating, not a logo. All right. That said, it's the Cowboys. What do we put them? They went 12-5 like 3 years in a row. And then last year kind of bottomed out. Obviously, Dak didn't play the whole year. But, like, where do we put them? Do we put them in the hunt? Do we put them in the wild card? Do we put them in division winners? No, they're at best the 3rd team in that division. No. Maybe 4th. Giants, sneaky Super Bowl contenders. Just kidding. Jackson Dart season, baby. Nah,
I definitely have the Cowboys. This might sound crazy to some Cowboy fans, but I have them in the hunt just because how crazy their division is getting.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously adding that second weapon for Dak alongside CD is going to boost their team insane. But who do y'all have at running back, right? We saw what Javonte Williams did for the Broncos last year. Not much.
No. Miles Sanders, too. What's he going to do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Did they even draft a running back? Yes, Jaden Blue.
Jaden Blue, I do love Jaden Blue, though.
That's true. We do like Jaden Blue here.
I think they're tied in as well. Schoonmaker. I think that's
Schoonmaker.
Something like that. I think he's
one
pretty
in front
cool.
of him. Who's in front of him?
I think that is him, right?
Nah, he's the number 2.
Anyways.
It's another one of those milquetoast white tight ends. Can't think of his name.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm thinking Ferguson, but is that right?
Jake Ferguson.
Jake Ferguson.
Yes.
I was thinking Terrence, and I knew that.
Yeah, I was
wrong.
like, no, I don't.
Yeah, no. I knew Terrence was the guy for the Rams. I just couldn't think who the Cowboys guy was.
I just can't put the Cowboys over the Commanders or Eagles. Like,
same.
And obviously, like, can there be 2 wild card teams in the same division? Yes.
We saw it last year in the AFC West.
But I think they're gonna lose both games to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're gonna lose a game to Washington, and it's definitely possible to lose a game to the Giants this year.
I mean, they do always kill the Giants when they play them.
That is fair.
Yeah.
But I think in the hunt is perfect. Obviously, we can have them in the wild card. They make the wild card almost every year. Dak got hurt last year. Obviously, it wasn't good, but and I mean they still put up somewhat of a fight against the Texans. Like they showed a ton of promise still.
Second best team in Texas.
Yeah, no kidding. But with this next team, do you want to talk on the Cowboys a little bit?
I don't really have too much to say about the Cowboys. We pretty much already covered everything. Yeah. The defense, they have those 2, ball hawks at corner, Diggs and Bland, and then they got another corner. I can't remember his name. That should actually be really good for them this year. But it's like having Pickens and CD, like that's gonna be crazy for Dak. Like he's gonna love it because now he doesn't have to funnel the offense just through CD. Obviously, CD's gonna be the number 1. Like Pickens in all of your stands, just get over it already. CD's the number 1. He's gonna get more targets. He's gonna have more receptions. He's gonna have more yards. And he's gonna have more touchdowns. Just get used to it, okay?
Yeah, I think if they had a better running back, they would definitely be a wild card team. But I just don't see their running power. Like they had somewhat running power a few years ago. Still couldn't get it done, but they still only had CD. And then once they get CD help, what do they do with their running backs, right? So I mean, I think Jaden Blue can help, but obviously not that much. And with the Commanders, I think definitely a wild card. You can even.
I can see them push for division winner.
Yeah, but I think. Okay. I can't put them in division winners if I'm gonna put Eagles in 1 seed. That's just not.
Oh, he spoiled it.
That's. I mean, I think that's just obvious at this point. I've been hinting talking about the Eagles so much. I'm so ready to dig into that team, but
literally same.
The Commanders, obviously, their running power, Brian Robinson, super good. Their tight end room is really good. They have one of the best. They stacked up, dude. They took.
Laremy Tunsil.
Sorry, I have withdrawals from our O-line. But they took Larry... Hey, maybe they're a false start team now. Who knows? But they took Laremy Tunsil, super good left tackle. Super good.
One of the top 3 pass-protecting left tackles in the league. Easy.
Yeah. And they beefed up their offensive line even more. Their defense is going to be super good. Like
they got all these vets on the team that can just bring the experience. Trading for Deebo Samuel, everyone's questioning it. But at the same time, if they get really anything from him, what did they send? A 5th-round pick for him? Yeah. So if they get anything out of Deebo Samuel, like they spent a 5th-round pick on that. If they don't get anything, who cares? They have other weapons that they can get the ball to. Terry McLaurin's still one of the most underrated receivers in the league. And I think he's just going to be another amazing receiver. I know he's going into his age 30 season, but he's still one of the guys. Like, the most underrated in the league, hands down. And I just think that this offense is going to be crazy. Jaden Daniels, he was the offensive rookie of the year. I know, I'm wearing a Broncos jersey. It kills me to say that Bo Nix wasn't the offensive rookie of the year, but he just wasn't. It was Jaden Daniels. He earned it. He showed through and through. He took on the Lions. He beat them. He was in position to fight against the Eagles. Obviously couldn't get the job done. Everyone saw that little goal line fiasco where they almost got 3 points. But still, the Commanders, they're a team that's just going to build. I don't know if they hit 12-5 again, but I think they're easily going to be another wild card team here.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, their team is just crazy. They kind of remind me of the Texans team. Like, super good defense, offensive line we thought was going to be good.
Yeah.
We really did. I thought Shaq Mason was going to be great. Yeah, anyways, I hate that offensive line last year. It was horrible. Anyways, Eagles. Boom. I'm putting him in front of the Ravens.
Ravens fans are going to be so mad about that.
I mean, they could be mad, but the better bird team is the Eagles. And it's just, until it's proven otherwise, like, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, easy. One of the best offensive lines, even though Kelsey retired. I mean, their tight end room, pretty good. I think, oh my goodness, why can't I think of his name? Their tight end.
Dallas Goedert?
Goddard, yes. I think he's a super underrated tight end. He does the dirty job of blocking, and then he goes out and catches the ball super well.
Yup.
Their cornerbacks and secondary, like, dude, who has a better secondary
Denver?
than I don't think so. It could be argued, definitely argued. But, like, with DeJean, and then they went and got Malachi Starks when they already had a super, well...
Malachi Starks? You're thinking of the Ravens.
No. Who?
Yes.
What safety did they? Did they not take a safety?
No. They did not. I love it.
I was like, wait, hold on. I'm talking about the wrong team. No, but I still...
he's got bird brain.
What I was thinking was, like, Malachi Starks, but with Kyle Hamilton, too. Oh, my God, the Ravens are actually going to be disgusting. But who's going to be their safety now that CJ is on... the Texans?
Sidney Jones. It's a guy that they have that's like waiting in the wings, ready to boost up the team.
Got it.
Yeah, and I want to say they did take a guy later too in case, but.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, their defensive line is still one of the best in the game.
One of.
Yeah, definitely probably the best. I mean, they had Mahomes running for his life, and they had the Chiefs looking like the Texans. That's for sure. I mean. These teams, man, they're just so impressive. Like they're the clear number one seeds for a reason.
Yeah.
And I just think they're super similar too. Like Saquon, Derrick Henry, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Mark Andrews, Goddard. Like they're
the O-line.
That's insane how similar they are. Actually,
yeah. The only true difference is that the Eagles just truly do have the better front seven.
Yeah.
That's really the only difference.
Yeah.
And even then, you could argue that the Ravens scheme up their front seven better. The Eagles literally just had to say, all right, you four, go get them.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have to scheme them up that well. But, you know, I will say I give the edge to Philly just because their front seven is just better.
And they're the Super Bowl champs. You have to give it to them.
Defending Super Bowl champs.
And then the Giants, man, this team, like, out of nowhere became one of the funnest teams to watch. I think Jackson Dart... He's such a good character. Like, obviously, when his family went to visit, he held the door open for everybody. That just speaks volume of, like, who he is as a person. Ole Miss, like, they train up their quarterback super well. And then their defense, I'll let you talk about their defense. I know you wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and let you do that. And go. What do you think?
This is a hot take. Maybe not. I think they have the best D-line in football. Yeah. Like, I don't even think it's close. Like, you could argue Philly, right? Because, like, they do have good guys, but it's like they don't have true edge threats. Like, they have guys that are good off the edge. But it's like, listen to this Giants D-line from left to right. They have Abdul Carter, who they just drafted number 2 overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
3. Number 3 overall. Sorry.
Travis Hunter went 2.
Travis Hunter went 2.
Or casuals.
Yeah, literally. Abdul Carter just went number 3 overall. Then they have Dexter Lawrence. They drafted Darius Alexander in the 3rd round, I believe. It was 2nd or 3rd, can't remember. And then they have Brian Burns on the other side with Kayvon Thibodeau switching with either of the other 2 edges. Like, that's just insane. How is Kayvon Thibodeau your 5th best D lineman?
Yeah.
Number 5. Like, that's crazy. I know he's not this, like, amazing pass rusher, but he was drafted number 5 overall for a reason back in 2021? 2021. That was a bad QB year. But there's a reason he was drafted number 5 overall back in 2021. Like, this D-line is going to be absolutely nuts. They have good linebackers behind them. I can't think of their names. They have a good secondary. Like, Tyler Nubin, he's going to be stepping up even more this year. Like, he was really good for them last year. And it's just like, they have guys on this defense. Whether or not Jackson Dart's season starts throwing darts all across the field or not, that's to be determined. We'll see. We all know Russ is going to start the year At what point does he play himself out? At what point does Jackson Dart take over? I could see this team being a sneaky in the hunt, but this would be more like they're hoping to get in with 8 or 9 wins, not really pushing 10, 11 to get in. So that's why I truly do have maybe next year, because everyone does need to grow, and then Jackson Dart needs to develop. I could see this team starting like poor, like 2-5, 3-6 type, and then Jackson Dart comes in, and then they finish the year like 8-9, 9-8, and then everyone's excited for next year. So I truly do think that this is like the perfect example for a maybe next year team.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with their division, I put them in maybe next year just because they're going to have to battle with the Cowboys, Commanders, and Eagles.
Yes.
That's a super tough division to be in the hunt with. And I mean, maybe next year, learn under Russ. I think they can play super similar. And then if he ultimately gets the experience he needs, maybe he takes over the second half of the season behind Russ. We'll see where they go, but I can't put them in the hunt just yet.
Yeah.
But definitely next year, they can be a wild card team. 100%.
100%. All right, now, the floor is yours. Houston Texans.
Saints. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Obviously, division winners. I think, well, I can't really say obviously too much just because we have offensive line questions. But other than that, that's our only question is offensive line. We have Joe Mixon. We have the wide receivers now. I mean, our wide receiver room literally went from Nico Collins, Mechie, and Hutchinson at the end of the last year to Nico Collins, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, Justin Kirk. Watson, Christian Kirk. Like, our wide receiver room is so big now. It's super fun to just listen to our coach talk about them. I'm super interested in what Nick Caley's going to do with the scheme. He definitely said, like, our scheme is going to be what the players do best and not put a peg in a square hole or something like that, right? Square peg into a
square hole.
Something like that.
Into a round hole. Whichever way you want to say it, doesn't matter.
Yeah, but obviously Stroud has some shoulder tightness right now as we're recording this, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue.
It's only the first week of OTAs.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. Our defense, top in the league. Like, our defense is just insane. Kalen Bullock's just going to get better. Lasser's just going to get better. Stingley's already there. Will Anderson, defensive player of the year, ? So
if he plays like he did the last half of the year, all year next year,
yeah, he's going to be insane. And especially playing opposite side of Daniil Hunter. I think our defensive line is going to be super like slept on again. Sheldon Rankin's coming back. Fadikasi coming back. Like, our defensive tackle room is super deep right now. So is our edge room. So I'm not worried about that. The one thing I am kind of worried about is just our corner depth. Obviously, we saw Petrie go down. We saw Lasser miss a game. And we had to put in Jeff Okuda, who got burnt on a small little slant route, which was not fun against the Cowboys.
No.
So it's just little questions of just staying healthy. I think that's the Texans' biggest enemy is staying healthy. Definitely, like, we lost Tank Dell 2 years in a row. We could have beat the Chiefs last year. I know you can't just say, oh, we should have beat them. I think we could have beat them. I think our firepower, we could have had the ball out a lot faster than what we did. But, the Chiefs obviously held it down. Their defensive line was insane. But, yeah, I have us as a division winner. I'll let you speak a little bit on the Texans as well.
Yeah, and so I know I'm fully decked out in Broncos gear. Broncos are my true love. They have my heart and soul. But, I am a native Houstonian, born and raised. Lived literally there for 99% of my life until these past few months. I've been living in Austin. But...
That's cringe.
Let's cut that out.
No, we're keeping it. We're keeping everything.
Oh, God. What have I done? Okay, well, anyways... This team, it's like I've always wanted to root for them. Obviously we've gone through some heartbreak over the past, well, how long have we been Texans fans?
2001.
Literally. So, we've gone through our fair share of heartbreak rooting for this team. But I think this is the most true hope we've had for this team ever. Like, because we weren't really like, aware enough during the 2011, 2012 seasons to know like what was going on, how good those teams were. But it's like literally in our entire like fandom of this team, like this is the most hope we've had, not just from the team perspective, but from leadership, the owners, down to the GM, head coach. We got Cal working up in the office. We got Nick Caserio doing his thing. We got our coach. Why can't I think of his name?
Nick Haley.
Nick, huh? No,
Nick Haley.
No.
Which one?
Head coach.
Oh, D'Amico Ryans.
D'Amico Ryans.
Casual.
You're Ryan.
Casual.
I'm horrible. I know he was a linebacker for us back in the day, and I couldn't even remember his name. But
Crazy.
D'Amico Ryans, like the culture shift this team has seen over the past 3 years is insane, absolutely wild. And for that reason alone, I think that we are one of these top teams in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. And then, obviously, our division is we're like baby boomers, bro.
Do.
I think the Titans
Or the Saints. No, kidding.
Or the Saints. That's funny. I think the Titans could be better than the Saints, or maybe I'm putting them better than the Saints.
Ooh.
I can't put them in maybe next year because their team is still so bad. And I mean their corner and Snead, I think he got in some legal trouble.
Well, it was more health for him last year.
Yeah.
I think his legals just kind of been brushed aside.
Who knows? I mean, I think obviously the competition they're going to have to face in the AFC South will ultimately depend on what they have to do. But, like, their offensive line still isn't good enough to protect Cam Ward like Miami's did last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think he'll have to get adjusted to how defenses play in the NFL. And we'll just... They're kind of a development team right now. Like, they're just meh, right? Obviously, they have Calvin Ridley. They have Tony Pollard. They have some sparks there. Their defense is... I think their defense is the better side of the ball right now.
Mm-hmm. Their D-line specifically.
Literally.
They have a nasty D-line.
They got the beefy boys in the
yes,
front.
They do.
So, yeah, anyways.
Yeah, one of the best run-defending D-lines in the league, but their pass rush, not so much. That's why, I don't really glow about them as much as I did with the Giants, just because it's just defensively, like, they have, 5 good D linemen, and then Cody Barton is their only linebacker that they signed from Denver this past season. And it's like, what are they going to do defensively? Their corner depth isn't great. Like, they have a few guys. I will say I felt like they were just getting steal after steal in the draft. Kevin Winston, insane pick. Chimere DK, really good pick for where they got him. Alec Ayumanor, he should have gone 2 rounds earlier, but apparently a knee issue pushed him down boards. There's another guy I'm thinking of whose name I can't remember. Gunnar Helm. Yeah. That's another one. It's just like they got steal after steal in those mid-rounds. Like, obviously, they used their first pick on Cam Ward. In an ideal situation, Cam Ward isn't your first overall pick, but he's worthy of a top 5 selection. Like, I'd say that's pretty easy. Like, I think he's probably QB 4, maybe 5 if he comes out last year. But you got to remember that they were 3 dang near generational prospects at the top last season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm going to have them better than the Saints. Where would you put them? Would you keep them there?
I kind of want to lean towards maybe next year just because of the potential development from Cam Ward. So I would at least put them above the Browns just for visual
How about
effect.
we put them here?
Yeah,
there
agreed. It's I just don't know with this team. Their offense wasn't very inspiring last season. No, I'm not just saying that just because of Will Levis just deciding to randomly chuck it to the defense. I saw someone on a podcast earlier today actually talk about how he would just randomly do a dude perfect tryout in the middle of a play.
That's awesome.
Literally, shout out. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Dude perfect.
Yeah, but either way, that's just such an insane pool. And I just think that they're a team that can either be like a 4 to 5 win team, maybe even push 6 to 7, just get out of that top pick contention range. But until proven otherwise, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. And then we'll go over here to the Colts. I think, man, the Colts are so tricky to do.
It's tough.
I want to put them in maybe next year. I want to put them in the hunt. I want to put them in better than the Saints in front of the Titans.
I feel like they're maybe next year at worst.
Yeah. It's just, what are they going to do at quarterback? Like, they brought in Daniel Jones. Like, that just shows their confidence in Richardson to stay healthy or to obviously I think Richardson's gonna be the starter. I think everyone's like, oh, who knows? It's gonna be a quarterback battle, but I think they're gonna go with Richardson.
I think they have to.
Yeah.
At least to start the year.
Exactly. So, I'm gonna put him in maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously Jonathan Taylor is insane. It's just he's just so inconsistent. Like he killed the Texans with running and deep balls.
I will say shout out to Jonathan Taylor for bringing the Broncos to the playoffs last year.
There you go.
Fumbling on the goal line instead of running it in. Literally the reason we made it in over the Bengals.
Wow, that'll do it. Yeah, literally. It's just they have too many question marks around them to be in the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the Jags, or did you want to talk a little bit more about the Colts, or did you?
I do want to talk about the Colts for a second, just because like they have pieces everywhere, like truly everywhere across the team. Like they have like a somewhat underrated receiver room. They have a somewhat underrated D line. Mm-hmm. They have good linebackers, good secondary, but it's like, do they have great anywhere outside of running back? I mean, you could argue Tyler Warren that they just drafted.
Oh, I forgot about him. Oh Lord.
Yeah. But it's like, get some RPOs going with Anthony Richardson throwing to him the same way that Hurts used to throw to Goddard on those RPOs back in the Shane Steichen offense.
Yeah.
But really, I kind of do. It's hard to push the Colts up in the hunt, but that's where they've been every year for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's unfair to take them out when they haven't truly regressed. Whereas with these other teams, that are in the hunt.
Yeah.
Well, the Steelers and Vikings, you can say that they regressed. The Jets and the Giants, you can say that they're actually trending upwards into that tier. But I just feel like the Colts have a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think it's a high chance. I think that Anthony Richardson has to get his stuff together. People last year were calling him a sneaky MVP candidate after having 4 good games. People did that to Drew Lock. He had 4 good games at the end of his rookie year. And people were saying, oh, he's a dark horse MVP. No, he's not. He's not a dark horse MVP. People should have never been hyping him up like that last year. He could have been like a fantasy football MVP, but like actual football, no. That was never going to happen.
Yeah.
What I see with Anthony Richardson this year is if he can develop, just work towards being good, then I think that this will be a team that can be in the hunt.
100%, yeah. And off to the Jaguars. Wild card?
That's tough.
I either have them in the hunt or in the wild card, but I do have them better than the Colts. I think Brian Thomas Jr. just got the help getting Travis Hunter. I think.
Oh yeah.
Travis Etienne, man, he has a lot of questions around him. He could have a step up. He could have a step back. But their tight end situation. What do you know? What their tight end situation is like after they traded Evan Ingram?
They cut Evan Ingram. They didn't even trade him.
Yeah, they did cut him.
Who
was behind him though? Because I know they have someone there.
I couldn't tell you his name. I can look it up real quick, but
hey Siri,
I couldn't tell you.
Who is the Jacksonville Jaguars tight end?
Crazy.
Damn.
Hunter Long, Johnny Munn.
Brenton Strange.
That's a name I recognize.
I still think that's a downgrade.
Easily.
I think their defense has a lot of holes, actually. Oof.
I mean, they got Travis Hunter on defense.
Yeah, but he's going to have to play both sides.
Yeah.
And how is he going to adjust to doing that in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not questioning it, and I hope they do play on both sides. I think that's what he got drafted to do. So, I think I'll have him in the hunt, maybe behind the Colts. I think the Colts and Jaguars are going to have a sneaky good battle this year. Hopefully, they battle each other so they can keep some heat off the Texans. But I'll keep them in the hunt. I'm not going to keep them in maybe next year because I just feel like I don't think they fit that description of maybe next year. So I'll put them in the hunt behind the Colts just because I think the Colts do have that step above them. But we'll see how Trevor Lawrence does after that salary he got. What was it, a year ago? 2 years ago?
I believe it was before last season.
Okay.
I will disagree with you on Colts over Jags. I think the Jags are the better team just because of quarterback.
Yeah.
Because really,
That's fair.
people don't realize it many times, but having an established quarterback is way better than having a streaky quarterback, and that's where Anthony Richardson is. Trevor Lawrence, he's at the point in his career where he's never gonna live up to that generational hype that he got coming out of Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think he can be a good to great quarterback in this league. Like he can be like maybe not like one of those like big four in the AFC like we have, but he could start pushing Herbert like that Stafford level, like that 7 to 8 range.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like get up in there, like actually start like being one of those like more respected like top 10 quarterbacks in the league. And that is why I do have them over the Colts. Defensively, they do have some holes like just scattered throughout this team. It's just I really like their head coach. He came from the Bucs last year. You know, he was the leader of that offense, and now he's got two great weapons to work with offensively in Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. Like last year, I had Brian Thomas Jr. as my true like number 2 receiver, which, you know, obviously him and Neighbors, I would even argue Neighbors became number 1 from this class already so far, which is another thing we didn't even really touch on the Giants is Malik Neighbors. But, you know, Russell Wilson doesn't like hitting the middle of the field, and that's where Malik Neighbors did a lot of work.
Hey, neither does Richardson.
That's true. But that being said, I really do like the Jags a lot to at least be in the hunt. I could see them push for the wild card, but I don't know if they get it.
Hey, mark my words, don't be shocked if the Titans are up here with them. But
I wouldn't be too surprised either if Cam Ward is that guy, but just not too sure about it.
On to the Bucks, man. Taking Igbokwe in the first round was kind of questionable. I think they obviously they set out to get that trio for Baker. I mean, they have one of the best young running backs in the league right now with Bucky Irving. I got him on Dynasty. If you play Dynasty football, go get him as soon as possible. I think he is that next young running back to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
He will keep them in that playoff contention. I think their defense is still insane. It was Antoine Winfield Jr.
Yeah.
Super, super good corner.
Safety.
I think safety, sorry. Yeah. But I love the Bucks team. I think they're going to be super explosive with Igbokwe being there. I'm really interested to see how their wide receivers are going to like plan out what they're going to do, because obviously I know Godwin's played in the slot a lot, and that's where he plays best. So, yeah. What do you think?
I really like Igbokwe because that was an early pick I had in a lot of mock drafts for them that I liked a lot. I saw it a lot at the beginning of the mock draft season. Towards the end, I wasn't seeing it at all, which was a little surprising. But I think it was because of them re-signing Chris Godwin that people stopped mocking him to go there. But at the end of the day, that's where he ended up going anyways. So, like, people were right for the wrong reasons, but they were still right at the beginning of the draft cycle. But really, I think this Bucks team, with Baker Mayfield, it's just so fun watching them. Bucky Irving on the ground, like, it's just such a fun team to watch. Like, I feel like every Buccaneers game, if you would just put it on, you'd have a good time with it for one reason or another. Because like even whenever they took on Detroit like week 2 last year, that was one of the most fun games of the season because it was just a hard hitting back and forth. You know, both offenses looking good, both defenses stalling each other out in the red zone. Yeah. Which I think that Todd Bowles leading this defense with Baker leading the offense it's just going to be a recipe for a lot of fun. I don't know if I have them wild card. I might even put them in division winners. Yeah. But there's so many teams that could fit in the wild card here, and there is another team in this division I could see taking the division from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll go ahead and talk about them now. I think the Falcons and Tampa Bay will ultimately be switching throughout the year. Mm-hmm. But I think Tampa Bay will take that division win from the Falcons. But I mean, who knows what they're going to do with Kyle Pitts. Maybe they do keep him. Maybe they trade him. Mm-hmm. We'll see. But, man, do they have a super exciting running back room with Bijan and Algier. And then you look at their quarterback, Michael Penix. He had a crazy end to the season. Mm-hmm. Him and Bryce Young's duel was honestly one of the most fun games I watched last year. And then their wide receiver room, Drake London. Who's their second?
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney, there we go. Mm-hmm. And then their defense is still actually pretty good. So I think they can be that wild card team. They can be that division winner maybe next year or the year after. We'll see.
I feel
how
like
they
both of
pan
these
out.
teams finished like 10-7,
Mm-hmm.
like both of them, and it's just like a tiebreaker to see who gets what.
Agreed. Yeah. So, and then we'll go on to the Panthers. This, like, obviously, we love the Falcons. We love talking about the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then the Panthers, I think they can either be at the end of maybe next year, or they could be at the top of better than the Saints, or they could be in the hunt. I mean, this team is super questionable as well. They have Tet. We love Tet.
T-Mac.
They got Bryce Young. Love Bryce Young.
I love this whole offense.
Yeah, I mean, what's their young tight end? Why can't I think of his name?
JT Sanders.
JT Sanders
Davian
from
Sanders.
Texas. Yeah, he's gonna be super good. I think
Mhm.
this team, they're such a good, fun team to watch. Once they get it clicking, you can see what their potential is.
Oh yeah.
But I will have them in maybe next year, probably at like in the middle here.
Mhm. I see it.
Yeah.
The only reason I feel like they're in this maybe next year tier
Mm-hmm.
is just because their defense is atrocious.
Yeah.
Like they still need to fill in 8 to 9 spots on this defense to even be NFL caliber.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that as a hater, because like I really do like this team. They're a fun team to watch. I would leave them in the middle of this maybe next year tier.
Yeah.
Just because their offense, I would say their offense blows out every offense on the same level and below them, except for maybe the Vikings if J.J. McCarthy is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think they even have a better offense than a couple of the teams above them. I'm not going to say which. But just because of how explosive they can be with T-Mac, with Leggett, with Chuba Hubbard. Is it Chuba or Chuba? I don't even know. Chuba Hubbard. And JT Sanders. They have a really good O-line. I want to say they have like 4 out of the 5 spots filled that are good. Lloyd Cushenberry is on the Titans. I don't know why I just mentioned him. Moving on.
Saints. I think Spencer Rattler is not that good. Derek Carr is done.
He's retired.
R.I.P. I love Derek Carr. Watching Derek Carr always just like he had that thing about him where he was just always he had that grit. He wanted to keep going. Obviously, the teams around him weren't all too good, so
Yeah.
I think he chose a good time to retire. Obviously, the Saints are going to be good for a while, so might as well retire now. They have Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave. I think he ultimately gets traded somewhere. Kamara, maybe he gets traded somewhere, and then we'll see where that team goes from there. But we have the Saints in their own tier as being the worst in the league.
Yeah, and I honestly don't even think it's close. I don't think any
Yeah.
team deserved to be in the same tier with the Saints. Like, we originally had the Saints going in just like the bottom of the tier where like the Titans and Browns are. But it's just, they're just so much worse. The roster is worse. They're old. They've spent so much money on just crap at this point. Like, how much dead money do they have? I don't even know. How much negative are they in cap space next season? I don't even know. But this team just needs to just hit the reset button. Like you said, Spencer Rattler is not going to be the guy. Is Tyler Shuck going to be their long-term guy? Maybe he can prove himself going forward. He's got to earn this job over Rattler. They did spend the 40th pick in the draft on him, so obviously they must really like him. I really like Tyler Shuck coming out. He was my QB3. I wanted to put him over Shadur, but for some reason I didn't. That being said, Jackson Dart was my QB4. Shadur was 2. Cam Ward obviously number 1. And they got Tyler Shuck. Can he be the guy? We don't know. He's a 25-year-old rookie with injury concerns. He's developed some yips in the pocket because of the injuries he's taken over his college career. But I think that this team doesn't even fit maybe next year. Yeah. They don't even fit the teams above them. This is a team that needs to just hit the reset button, suck for 2 years. Do they get Arch Manning in town? I hope not, because I feel like the Saints would be such a boring team to get him.
That'd be such a cool team for him to go to, though.
It would be, especially like the roots with his grandfather from the Saints. But
yeah, main question with the Saints: do you think they go 0-16, paper bag year?
I could see it. I realistically could. I don't think they do, just because of how crazy the NFL is, and all it takes is one great game from them and one horrible game from someone else.
Yeah.
And that could even extend to these contending type teams. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? we'll find out.
Yeah. And then the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs take a step back this year. I think we might put them in division winners. I want to be fun and put them in wild card. I think there's a team in that division that takes over this year, and we'll get to that team. Maybe I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but
I know.
Yeah, I just think the Chiefs are gonna take a step back. I think they're getting old. Travis Kelce's getting up there in age. Chris Jones is getting up there in age. Obviously, that didn't show when they played us in the playoffs. But
literally,
I just think they have a lot of holes, and it showed in the playoffs. I mean, their offensive line fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes was running for his life, and I don't want to say just because they had a bad Super Bowl to just automatically count them out of division winner. But I think there is going to be a huge battle in that division because I think that division might be the best division in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I could honestly see it, but the one thing that I will say about the Kansas City Chiefs is I will say it's their division until it's not.
Yeah.
And by that I mean until a team takes it from them, and even when a team takes it from them, I still don't think I can pick someone to take the division over the Chiefs as long as they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And you could even extend it to Travis Kelce, but not really, kind of, because he is getting up there in age. They've been trying to find his replacement for the past 3 years, but just haven't. Also, their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, he's been arguably the best defensive coordinator in the league, maybe even the best defensive play caller in the league, including these guys that have these head coaching positions over the past 3, 4, 5 years. Really, ever since they opened up their window of just competing for Super Bowls every single year, getting into the AFC Championship every single year with Mahomes as a starter. Obviously, the first year with Mahomes as a starter, he wasn't there. Yeah. But ever since, he's just been dominant with this team. The Chiefs, in my opinion, are the best team in the AFC West until proven otherwise. So I can't agree with the wild card selection for them as much as I hate that. I just can't get behind it because they haven't proven that they will fall there. Their worst record over the past 7 seasons is 11-6.
Yeah, and that's definitely fair. I think whenever we get to the team that I was talking about, in my heart, I really think the Chiefs will have a down season, but they'll still be obviously competitive. I just don't see their dominance like they dominated in years past, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think there's a young team in that division that will take over. But if they do obviously win the division, I think they'll be above the Texans and Buccaneers. Jesus.
Yes.
All right, Dolphins.
Dolphins.
It's been a long day.
It has.
Broncos.
Wild card. All right.
Take it away.
All right, like I said, it's the Chiefs division until it's not. Okay? I can't realistically put us there. I did it in 2022 when we got Russ and the football terrorist that is Nathaniel Hackett. But I can't do that again. I'm more hyped and excited for this team than I ever have been. And I mean that. I mean since 2013, 14, and 15, when we had Peyton Manning, whenever we had that elite defense. And obviously, those teams went on to make 2 Super Bowls, winning one of them. Obviously, one of them was with the corpse of Peyton Manning. But still, team did it regardless. But ever since then, this team has been basement dwellers. Mm-hmm. We've had top 10 picks nearly every single season. And we traded 2 of them for a quarterback that got us another bottom 10 pick. And then that number 12 pick that we ended up using very well, actually, last year with our quarterback, Bo Nix. Mm-hmm. I'm hyped for Bo Nix.
Yeah.
I know I talked earlier about how Jaden Daniels did earn the Offensive Rookie of the Year over Nix, but that's just because Jaden had to carry his team like Bo Nix didn't. Bo kind of just let his defense carry him. And obviously, there were plenty of times where he had the offense looking good, had the offense humming, and the defense was just shutting down the other team. But there were also games where Bo was keeping the team in the games himself, like against the Browns, against the Bengals, even though we weren't able to squeeze that one out. And against the Chiefs in the very first matchup we had against them, where we lost to a blocked field goal. Which, so blocked field goal, Jonathan Taylor from on goal line. They evened out, so I do think we are in the playoffs over the Bengals. That said, this team is so young. They're so exciting. The defense is stacked. There is a solid starter at every position. And that's including like backups. We go 4 deep at corner. We have 2 good guys that can play in the nickel, 3 guys that can play outside, maybe even 4 if you count Chris Abrams' drain. We have 2 good safeties with a 3rd backup with plenty of experience. We have the linebackers. We have 2 good, solid starting linebackers with a 3rd young guy. The interior defensive line with Zach Allen, JFM, DJ Jones is going to be really good, and Malcolm Roach. We have edge guys. Oh, and what's his name? Not Savion. Savion Jones also for the interior. And then edge guys. We have Jonah Ellis and Q Robinson as the backups to, I was about to say Baron Browning. He's the guy we traded last year. But as the backups to Nick Bonito, Casa Bonito to the house again. And Jonathan Cooper. This team, I feel like, is ready to be the best defense in the NFL. Maybe not best, but top 3, top 5 is not out of the realistic realm of possibility. In this offense, although we don't have any true flashy players offensively, we have Evan Ingram, Cortland Sutton, and we brought in some young guys. We have Marvin Mims, who's developing, Troy Franklin, who's ready to take the next step up. We have a couple rookies. We have Pat Bryant and RJ Harvey that are ready to catch passes. We have the other running backs, Jalil McLaughlin and Audric Estime, who are ready to keep stepping up. I feel like Jalil, we kind of already know what he is at this point. He kind of is that true, like, number 2 change of pace running back. He won't ever be a true number 1 running back. But Audric Estime still has a lot to prove. Sean Payton's really high on this guy. He says that we need to get him more touches, get him more involved on the ground game. And then RJ Harvey, we took him in the 2nd round for a reason. Not a lot of people in the media had him even as a top 10 running back. But the fact that the Broncos had him as RB, I can't remember if it was 5 or 6, I want to say number 6, means something. We drafted him in the 2nd round for a reason. I think this team is ready and willing to make not just a playoff appearance, but a playoff run. Do we necessarily go into Kansas City, Buffalo, Houston, or Baltimore and win a game? I don't know about that. But I think we have the firepower to put one of those teams to the test next year. We got the experience last year, and this year we're ready to put it to use.
Yeah, I think the big question about the Broncos was that playoff game against the Bills. Like, they showed promise right out the start. They scored a touchdown, but then what happened after that? It just died off. And, I mean, that happens in Texans games too. And it's just a tricky thing. Like, you have the pieces on your team, but can you make it work?
Yeah.
And I love the conversation of doing the corner pick over Amarian Hampton and letting Hampton go to the Chargers, which was obviously questionable. But, like, obviously, Jahdae Barron, he's a super good corner. They picked him in the 1st round for a reason. And he kept the Texas defense together.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the Broncos definitely have a bright future. And then we're off to the Raiders.
No-fly zone 2.0 incoming.
For real, though, like, that corner duo is going to be disgusting.
Trio.
Who's y'all's other corner again?
Riley Moss.
Got it.
He played very well against everyone not named T. Higgins.
Yeah, and I think the Raiders, man, this team is going to be so special. I think they have Genty, they have Brock Bowers, they have
Jack Bash.
They have Jack Bash. They have the defensive line to get it done. Do they have the secondary on a level of the Broncos, Falcons, of anyone up here? Is their secondary on par? I don't think so. I think they're definitely up here in the hunt. I'd even put them above. I'd put them as the top team in the hunt, honestly. And I think their future is so bright. I think maybe they get their quarterback next year. Maybe. I know they have Geno Smith, and he's an established veteran. He made the Seahawks look so good last year. So we'll see what the Raiders do. I'm on the edge about their new head coach coming from Ohio State, but I mean he's a winning coach. So
offensive coordinator.
Oh, he was okay. So yes. Chip Kelly, offensive coordinator. We'll see what he does. But why he gotta tell Genty how to stand, man? Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Like why can't he do his killer stand?
Mike Myers impression.
No, literally. Anyways, I don't think that'll stick very long. I think Genty will be able to get that done.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think their offense is super. Their offense is gonna be one of the top teams to watch, but their defense is where the questions come in. So I will have them in the hunt. I think they win some really fun games, but I can't have them as a wild card because obviously I don't think they're gonna be better than the Broncos or Chargers. Did you want to speak on the Raiders a little bit? FTR. And then we have what is FTR?
This is a PG show.
Right. I know what it means. Fear the Raiders.
No, it does not.
Chargers. I have the Chargers as a wild card team. I think they'll definitely make the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have them as division winner because obviously it's going to be them, Broncos, or Chiefs. They were the team that I was going to have above the Chiefs just because they have the quarterback to get it done, but he didn't get it done against the Texans. And what happened? Like that game, the Texans didn't score until there was a minute left in the second quarter.
Yep.
And then they just fell apart from there. And I think that's just experience wise. I think the Texans having that playoff experience before, from the year before against the Browns. I mean, it was kind of the same thing. The Texans were kind of struggling against the Browns. They had 2 pick sixes, turned the game upside down. What happens against the Chargers? We get a pick with Kamari Lassiter. We get a pick 6. I mean, our defense just turned up, which made our offense turn up, and that's our superpower as the Texans. Anyways, we're talking about the Chargers, but I think they're a super fun team. They have Hampton now. Their tight ends are fine. Their wide receivers are super good. Lad McConkey darn near destroyed the Texans in that playoff game.
Hey, he's the reason that they beat the Broncos twice.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we could not stop him. I think that's the reason why the Broncos went for a guy like Jahdae Barron, because we couldn't do anything about Lad. I agree with what you just did, putting the Chargers at the top of that tier. I don't necessarily think you need to rearrange the rest of it, but
I think that's how
I see it.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
I see it. I definitely.
We'll rearrange it after. And then
we'll come
talk
back to that. We'll come back to that. Now on to the final division, the NFC West. We got the Cardinals bringing in the Kyler Murray Call of Duty jokes. Is he going to be enjoying Double XP weekend, or is he going to be paying attention to film study?
I love me some Double XP weekend, man. I have the Cardinals in the hunt. I don't think they're going to be up here. But I think they'll be in between the Patriots and we'll rearrange it later. Anyways, I think the Cardinals, they'll be in the hunt. They're always going to be competitive. They have Kyler Murray, who's a veteran. They have a super young stud in Marvin Harrison, who I think is going to take a big leap this year. Obviously, he had a down year. Well, I can't call it a down year. He had a rookie year.
885 yards and I want to say 8 touchdowns. That's not a bad rookie year.
It's not.
That's not. People are just so spoiled by seeing guys like Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, those types of rookie seasons that are setting records. Even Brock Bowers just last year, or the year before. Yeah, last year.
But the thing is, though, he got drafted as high as those wide receivers. So you kind of have to label it as like, did he do as good as Malik Neighbors? Did he do as good as Bryce Thomas? And obviously he didn't.
Not year one.
But I think he still has that capability to be better than those two, which is crazy. So, yeah. And then we'll go over here. Obviously, the Cardinals' defense is going to be the Cardinals' defense. They're going to be super solid.
Yeah.
And then the Seahawks, I have maybe next year.
Oh.
I think Sam Darnold is going to help the young quarterback there, and Sam Howell. I believe he's there still.
Did he go back there? I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's there.
Did he?
Yeah.
Because I know they just drafted Jalen Milroe.
Jalen Milroe too.
Yes.
And then obviously they have JSN, super good. They have Kenneth Walker, super good. Their defense is solid, but I just don't have them in that division. Like obviously they could be in the hunt, but will they be? Man, this team is just so hard to like place because obviously Sam Darnold had a crazy season last year with the Vikings. But also the Vikings, they had Justin Jefferson. They had Aaron Jones. They had that defense to help keep the offense stable. So we'll see. I definitely think they're going to be up here.
Which is ironic seeing them right next to the Vikings after they just took their quarterback, Sam Darnold. Which is even funnier seeing them a whole tier directly below the Raiders, considering they just took their quarterback, Geno Smith.
That's hilarious.
That is pretty funny. Who was the Raiders quarterback last year? Where did he go? Did he go?
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell's still there.
Okay, he's still there. But I agree with that for the Seahawks. They have Mike McDonald. I think that they really just need to hit that quarterback position. I don't really like what they did because it feels more of like a side grade moving on from Geno to bring in Sam Darnold. It feels like Geno wanted out, and it feels like they wanted to move on from him. So I guess that is why they did go ahead and make the trade with the Raiders. And then bringing in Sam Darnold, everyone thought it was going to be amazing with him throwing to DK. Then they trade away DK. I'm not too sure about that move, but I guess they just didn't have the money or didn't want to pay him. And now it's like this offense. It's just so intriguing because what's going to happen? They have JSN and Cooper Kupp. Like, who's going to be playing these slot roles? They drafted Elijah Arroyo. Apparently, they're trying to say that he's going to be this, like, their, like, ex-wide receiver, which I don't know if I see that, but it could happen realistically. It's just their defense. Mike McDonald is a defensive coach. He was the guy that turned this Ravens defense into what it is now, and is he going to do that with the Seahawks? They just took one of the most polarizing players in the draft with Nick Emenwari. So are they going to utilize him to perfection like Mike McDonald did with Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore? I just don't know. We have to see it before I project it any farther. So that's why I think that they're even out of the hunt, and I agree with them being in maybe next year.
Yeah. And then we'll go on
I want to interrupt a little bit with these Niners and Rams.
Hey, you play some.
Because this is tough. As you can see, we have 3 NFC wildcard teams already. And one of these 2 teams has to win the division. And I think you're in agreement with me on this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you are. And that's why the LA Rams, I'm sorry to say it, but you're not the division winner. I think that it is the San Francisco 49ers. I think Brock Purdy does lead this team back to being the number 1 team in the West. I think that Kyle Shanahan brings his team back around. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy for them, but they have the easiest schedule in the league. Yeah. They have this 4th place schedule. Like, they get to play the easiest teams. Like, they get to play the Saints. The Rams, do they get to play the Saints? I don't think so. Like, that's a free win that the Rams don't get. That's why I just feel like these Niners are going to be here. Yeah. And I'm sorry, LA Rams, that y'all have to do this to the Falcons. Like y'all make the playoffs. This is not a non-playoff team. Falcons fans, I'm so sorry I did this to y'all, but I think there's just not enough playoff spots.
I think in the hunt for a Falcons fan, you should be happy and proud of that because that means Penix played really good, and I think your offense went rolling. However, obviously, let him play a full year, let him develop, let him get comfortable, and then that next year, take that step, get more players on your team, keep your defense super solid, and then you'll keep going. But I love how the Falcons added James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. Like those 2 additions on the defense that's what makes them want us to put them in wild card.
Yes. That's what I feel like they could make it over the Packers. Yeah. I feel like they could make it over the Rams. I feel like they could even make it over the Commanders if they step down from where they did last year. Yeah. I could see them making it over the Bucs, winning the division from them. Like we said, we literally have both of these teams finishing roughly 10-7. Yeah. Like half a game apart from each other. It's just tiebreakers. Could the Bucs be the team that drops down to in the hunt and the Falcons win this division? Yes, but at the end of the day, there's only 7 playoff spots. If there was 8, I think we easily give it to the Falcons. The Raiders and Dolphins might actually be more of a struggle, but if there was an 8th playoff team, it would be the Falcons in the NFC.
Yeah. All right, well, those are our season predictions on where the teams are going to land. Yep. Now what we'll do, we'll take the next 5 minutes just to talk and organize this on how we think it will go. And then, obviously, during the season, we'll react to where our teams are at. Yes. And, we'll go from there. So, would you switch Eagles?
Start from the bottom.
Start from the bottom? So, would you put the Saints in here?
No. Saints are the
All right.
Saints.
Browns over Titans or Titans over Browns?
I say Titans just because certainty at the quarterback position. That's really it for me. Like I even I almost want to either put the Titans up a tier or bring the Giants down a tier.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like the parity there, like I could see them above the Giants. But I think that it is fair where they are now.
Yeah. All right. So for maybe next year, would you switch any of these around?
I honestly don't know, just because of how much uncertainty. I think I might put the Panthers at the top of this tier just because Bryce Young is looking better. Like, he looks like he's a good, solid quarterback. As far as the Seahawks go, I feel like that's the perfect spot for them.
Yeah.
Same with the Vikings. It's just because we don't know. I'm not going to put them in the hunt with their quarterback situation. Same with the Steelers. Maybe if we knew they had Aaron Rodgers, they would be in the hunt, probably even towards the middle of that tier. But without him, we can't put him there yet.
Yeah. And I think, obviously, without him, I don't think I could put the Giants any further up.
Yeah, same. Just because, I was thinking about bringing them down a tier. But I think they're just perfect right here at the end of this tier.
Yeah. And then in the hunt, I think one switch that I can already see, not them, would be the Cowboys over the Bears and Dolphins.
Yeah, I see
but
that.
But just under the Raiders and Falcons there.
I could even see them also.
I can see them above the Raiders, actually.
Yeah, same.
Oh my god, what am I doing? There we
go. I feel like the rest of this pretty much evens out. I might move the Patriots below the Cardinals.
Patriots below the Cardinals. Yeah, I could see it.
Just because of the already established tiers there. Maybe just because I did mention the quarterback, you could put Jags over Patriots.
I like that.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of sits well with me a bit better because I feel like the Jags are more of an 8-9 win team, whereas the Patriots are more of a 7-8 win team. So that's why it just feels a bit better for me. Same reason why I have the Colts there at that 7-8 win tier, where it's like they're not eliminated by Christmas, but by New Year's maybe.
100%. And then we have the wild card teams. So this I just kind of briefly went over it. But what would you change here? Would you mark your team up, keep them the same?
Honestly, I would put the Bengals in front of us just until proven otherwise because they did beat us last year. And I know we got better on defense, which was why we lost that game. And we even got better on offense, so maybe we have just a bit more firepower to keep up with a team like them. But just until proven otherwise, they have the better quarterback, they have the better weapons, and until we show that true growth this season, I can't put us above them. And honestly, I kind of feel like putting the Bengals over the Commanders as well. I'm going to leave that one up to you just because of the quarterback. Yes, I love Jaden Daniels as much as the next guy, but Joe Burrow is still Joe Burrow. He's still that guy. And, you know, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that's better than anything the Commanders have. So that is why I have that, but I would leave that up to you. And then
BW.
Nice. And then
Buffalo Wild Wings.
I will say LA over the Packers because I feel like they've kind of always had their number. Sean McVay having the number of, oh my God, why can't I think of his name? Matt LaFleur. There we go. It just feels a bit more right. Obviously, the Packers, again, going in as a 7th seed, which would just be comical. Which I could also see them losing that 7th seed to the Falcons, to the Cowboys, to the Bears. Any of those teams could realistically take it from them just because of how inconsistent and streaky that team is. Yeah. But other than that, I feel like those teams are pretty well set.
Yeah, I don't think I would switch anything. I think maybe LA under the Packers, but I think that's pretty much
okay. I see it.
But I mean, I'm not gonna switch that honestly. Yeah. Just because obviously they have wide receiver concerns right now. Who knows how Golden will do? I think he'll do fine. But how will the other receivers do?
Don't know. To be determined.
And then we have our division winners of this year. If you're a fan, congratulations, man. Awesome.
Honestly, I think we kind of cooked with the order.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think there's a single thing we would change. Like, maybe you could argue San Fran over Chiefs, honestly. No? You couldn't see it?
I think the quarterback is just throwing me off. Like, I see it. Yeah. I think Mahomes will outdo Purdy like any day of the week, but...
Yeah, okay. I see it. Bills over both of them, though, because keep in mind, this is just regular season rankings. This isn't how we think the teams do in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So I always have Bills over Chiefs in season.
Yeah.
And then Lions, like, they're just a thrashing machine. Like, the
Lions could easily be here.
Easily. They were last year. They had the number one seed over the Eagles last year.
Yeah.
People don't seem to remember that, like, but they did, and which was pretty crazy if you think about the run that the Eagles went on.
Yeah.
But
I think the Eagles just tightened up at the end of the season. But we'll get to that. I think Bucks could be here. That just depends how healthy and how good our offensive line shapes up. Their offensive power is super good. I do like our defense more. Currently, I like their offense more just because their firepower and provenness and how their offensive line is. Mm-hmm. But I can easily see us being there. Yes. And it's literally the same thing with these two, and it's just there.
Yeah, I see it.
So I'll keep this the same, and then number one seed. This is just season, but I would still have I would actually have the Ravens over the Eagles, shockingly enough.
Okay.
I think the Eagles' defense got even better. Obviously, they added Malachi Starks. We talked about that earlier. So,
Bird brain.
What do you think?
The only reason I have Eagles over Ravens here is because the Ravens' number one schedule is harder than the Eagles' number one schedule.
Yeah.
Because the Eagles, they get to play the Lions, Rams, and who else? And Buccaneers. Whereas the Ravens have to play, their division, and then they also have to play Kansas City, Buffalo, and Houston. So it's just like, I feel like the gauntlet that Baltimore has to go through is just a bit tougher than the Eagles, which the Eagles have a better, easier division because, like you just said, they have the Cowboys and the Giants in their division. Also the Commanders. They would have swept the Commanders if Jalen Hurts didn't go down in that game because they were up like 3-4 scores. And then Kenny Pickett came in, and we saw what happened. Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, by the way.
There you go.
And so that's why I just think that the Eagles really do have the edge over the Ravens. I will say quarterback goes to the Ravens, but I feel like the Eagles just have a slightly easier path to the one seed.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, there's our season predictions. Yes. Take a picture. If you have any anyone you would want to switch, put it down below, either in the division or out of the rankings. So, yeah, definitely interested to see where y'all are going to put them. Yep. And thank you for tuning in. If you stayed this late, we love you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Also, if you want to tell us how stupid we are down in the comments, let us know. If you think that the New York Giants really are going to be that one seed team, tell us. Give us an earful about it. If you think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be worse than the Saints, I mean, I'm in. Like, I'll believe you. Just give me an essay. Just let us know.
Yeah.
And hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Hope to see you again next time.
Yes, sir. And I mean, hey, we got up to 142. That's what it looks like now.
All right.
Crazy. I think that'll probably be one of our longest podcasts. But I mean, obviously, season prediction is gonna take super long.
Yep.
And yeah, if you have any ideas of what you would like us to talk about, put them down below. And we look forward to hearing from y'all soon. Peace.
Peace.